Here's a number that should bother you. Roughly 9 out of 10 car brands will tell you their vehicles are built to last. Dependable, engineered for the long haul. All that language. But when you actually pull the data, real-world reliability surveys, repair frequency after 150,000 miles, cost of ownership over a decade, the list of brands that genuinely back up those claims, it shrinks fast. Like uncomfortably fast. We're talking about 2026 now. New platforms, new powertrains, EVs reshaping the market. And in the middle of all that disruption, some brands are getting better at building cars that last, while others are quietly getting worse. Nobody's talking about that second group, by the way. But we will. Today, I'm giving you the only 5 brands I'd put real money behind if the goal is simple. Buy a vehicle, maintain it properly, and drive it for 200,000 miles or more without losing your mind or your savings. That's it. No hype, no brand loyalty. Just data, patterns, and 10+ years of watching what actually survives. Before we get into the list, let me explain why this matters more right now than it ever has. The average new car price in 2026 is pushing past $49,000. Used cars aren't cheap either. When you're spending that kind of money, you're not just picking a car, you're making a financial decision that's going to ripple through your life for the next 7 to 10 years minimum. And here's the trap most people fall into. They Google most reliable cars. They see a brand ranked high on some list, and they assume that means the car will last. But reliability ratings and longevity are two very different things. A car can be reliable in the sense that it doesn't break down much in the first 3 years, which is what most of those surveys measure, but completely fall apart at year 7 when the warranty's gone, and suddenly you're staring at a $4,000 transmission repair. So what I'm measuring here is different. I'm looking at which brands consistently produce vehicles that hold up after the warranty period. After 100K miles. After 150K. Because that's where the truth lives. Anybody can build a car that works for 36,000 miles. The question is, what happens after that? All right, so let me be transparent about the framework. 5 factors, weighted equally. First, powertrain durability. Engine and transmission. These are the 2 components that will either keep your car on the road or send it to the junkyard. I'm looking at failure rates past 100,000 miles. Second, cost of ownership over 10 years. Not just the sticker price. Insurance, maintenance, parts cost, depreciation. The whole picture. Third, parts availability and repairability. Can an independent mechanic work on it without needing $15,000 worth of proprietary diagnostic equipment? Can you actually find parts without waiting 6 weeks? Fourth, owner retention data. How many people who buy this brand come back for another one? That's a powerful signal. People vote with their wallets. And fifth, what I call the mechanic consensus. I've talked to dozens of technicians over the years. When you ask a mechanic what they'd buy with their own money, the answers are remarkably consistent. That means something. Now here's what I did not include. Brand prestige, marketing. How the car looks in your driveway. None of that. This is purely about which brands will still be running strong when everything else on the road is trading hands at a loss or sitting in a scrapyard. Let's get into it. Look, I know, you saw this coming. Everyone sees this coming. And the reason everyone sees this coming is because it's earned. Toyota has been the default answer to, what car should I buy if I want it to last? For decades, and in 2026, that hasn't changed. If anything, it's gotten more true. Here's what separates Toyota from everyone else. They are pathologically conservative with engineering. While other manufacturers rush to adopt the newest technology, the newest turbo setup, the newest transmission design, Toyota waits. They watch everyone else work out the kinks, and then they implement proven solutions. That drives automotive journalists crazy, because the reviews always say the same thing. It's fine, it's competent, it's boring. And you know what? Boring is exactly what you want at mile 180,000. The Camry and the RAV4 continue to be 2 of the most bulletproof vehicles you can buy at any price point. The Tacoma has a cult following for a reason. people are still daily driving 2005 Tacomas with 300,000 plus miles. The Corolla is arguably the most successful automobile design in human history from a pure longevity standpoint. The trade-off? You're not getting cutting-edge tech. Toyota's infotainment still feels like it's 2 years behind. The driving experience in most of their lineup is adequate, not exciting. And their dealer markups on popular models can be frustrating. But if the goal is buy it for life, nobody does it better. Period. Now, some people will say putting Lexus on. This list is cheating since it's Toyota's luxury division. And yeah, they share platforms and powertrains. But Lexus deserves its own spot because they prove something that very few luxury brands can prove. You don't have to sacrifice reliability to get premium features. Think about the competition. BMW, beautiful cars, genuinely fun to drive, and genuinely expensive to maintain after 60,000 miles. Mercedes? Same story, sometimes worse. Audi? Don't get me started on timing chain issues and electronics problems. Lexus sidesteps all of that. The ES, the RX, the GX, these are vehicles that routinely show up in 200,000 mile plus clubs with original transmissions and engines. The IS has been a quiet favorite among people who want a sports sedan that won't punish them financially. And the LX. There are LX 470s from 2005 still commanding $25,000 on the used market. That's a 20-year-old SUV holding value like that. Let that sink in. The trade-off with Lexus is the upfront cost. You're paying a premium, sometimes a significant one. And some enthusiasts find the driving dynamics too soft, too insulated. Lexus prioritizes comfort and smoothness over sportiness, and if you want that connected, sharp driving feel, you might be a little disappointed. But from a buy-it-for-life standpoint, Lexus is about as close to a guarantee as this industry offers. Here's the thing about Honda. They used to be the brand everyone recommended without hesitation. Civic, Accord, CR-V, it was almost automatic. Then around 2016-2017, they had some stumbles. The 1.5 turbo engine had oil dilution issues in cold climates. Some CVT transmissions felt uncertain, and for a few years, Honda's bulletproof reputation took some real hits. But here's what most people missed. Honda acknowledged those problems, revised the designs, and by 2020, the fixes were in. The current generation Civic is one of the best compact cars ever made. Not just reliable, genuinely good to drive, efficient, well built. The Accord continues to be the benchmark mid-size sedan that other manufacturers try to match, and the CR-V remains one of the smartest crossover purchases on the market. What keeps Honda on this list is their engineering philosophy. Honda is, at its core, an engine company. They make engines for cars, motorcycles, generators, lawnmowers, marine applications. They live and breathe powertrain engineering. That depth of expertise shows up in how their vehicles perform over time. A well-maintained Honda engine at 200,000 miles often runs like it's barely broken in. The trade-off? Honda's interiors, while improved, still don't feel as premium as some competitors at the same price point. Their dealer experience can be hit or miss, and some of their newer tech features have a learning curve that frustrates people. But mechanically, Honda is still a top 5 brand, and the data supports it. Alright, this is the one I get the most pushback on. Mazda? Really? On a buy-it-for-life list? Yes, and here's why. Mazda has been quietly building some of the best vehicles in the affordable segment for years, and most consumers have no idea, because Mazda's marketing budget is a fraction of what Toyota or Honda spends. They don't have Super Bowl ads. They don't have massive dealer networks in every small town. What they have is an almost obsessive commitment to engineering quality that punches way above their price class. The Mazda 3 and CX-5 have been Consumer Reports' top picks repeatedly. The CX-50 brought genuine capability to their lineup, and Mazda made a decision years ago that most people don't appreciate. They refuse to use CVT transmissions. While nearly every other manufacturer adopted continuously variable transmissions to squeeze out fuel economy numbers, Mazda stuck with traditional automatics and developed their Skyactiv technology to get competitive efficiency without sacrificing the proven durability of conventional gearboxes. Think about it this way: a CVT is cheaper to produce, but historically less durable long-term. Mazda chose the more expensive, more reliable path. That's a buy-it-for-life decision baked into the engineering. The trade-off is real though. Mazda's back seats are tight in almost every model. They don't have the brand recognition that helps resale value the way Toyota does. Their dealer network is smaller, which can mean less competitive pricing and longer waits for service in some areas. But dollar for dollar, in terms of what you're actually getting mechanically and how long it's going to last, Mazda is one of the smartest buys in the market right now. Full stop. Okay, I know. I can already hear the comments. Hyundai, Kia, buy it for life? Are you serious? And I get it. 10 years ago, these brands were punchlines. Cheap interiors, questionable build quality, the kind of cars you bought because you couldn't afford anything else. But here's what happened. And this is one of the most dramatic brand transformations in modern automotive history. Hyundai and Kia invested billions. They hired engineers from BMW, from Audi, from Lamborghini. Yes, Lamborghini. Their head of design came from Audi. Their performance division is led by a former BMW M engineer. They didn't just throw money at the problem. They fundamentally rebuilt their engineering and design philosophy from the ground up. The results speak for themselves. The Hyundai Tucson and the Kia Sportage are now competitive with the CR-V and the RAV4, something that would have been unthinkable in 2015. The Telluride and the Palisade redefined what a three-row family SUV could be at their price point. The Kia EV6 and Hyundai Ioniq 5 are genuinely impressive electric vehicles. And then there's the warranty. Hyundai and Kia still offer a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. That's not a gimmick anymore. It's a statement of confidence that's backed up by improving reliability data year over year. Now, the trade-off. And I have to be honest about this. Hyundai and Kia have had some well-documented issues. The Theta 2 engine recall was a massive black eye. Some models had problems with engine fires. These are serious issues, and I'm not going to wave them away. However, the affected engines have been replaced and redesigned, and the newer SmartStream powertrains are showing significantly better durability numbers. This is the brand I'd call buy it for life with an asterisk. The trajectory is undeniably positive. The value proposition is incredible. But they're still proving themselves in a way that Toyota proved itself 20 years ago. If you're comfortable being slightly early on a trend that the data strongly supports, this is your pick. If you want the safest possible bet, stick with brands 1 through 4. A few brands that came close but didn't quite make the cut. Subaru, genuinely durable drivetrains, and that standard all-wheel drive is fantastic. But head gasket issues in older models and some CVT concerns kept them off. They're close though, very close. Porsche, and this surprises people, actually has solid reliability data, especially the Cayenne and the Macan. But the cost of maintenance and parts when something does go wrong disqualifies them from a buy-it-for-life list that most people can actually use. And Ford, specifically the Bronco Sport and the Maverick, are showing some promising early data. But early data is the key phrase there. I need more time before I can recommend them for long-term ownership with confidence. So there it is. 5 brands. That's the list. Toyota, Lexus, Honda, Mazda, and Hyundai Kia. In a market with dozens of manufacturers, all screaming for your attention and your money, these are the ones where the engineering, the data, and the real-world ownership experience all line up. Does this mean every single vehicle from these brands is perfect? Of course not. There are individual models to avoid within every lineup, and I can do a separate deep dive on that if you want. Just let me know in the comments. But as a starting point, as a filter for where to even begin shopping, this list saves you from the most expensive mistake most people make: buying a car based on how it looks in the commercial instead of how it performs at mile 150,000. Now I want to hear from you. What's the longest you've ever kept a single vehicle? And what brand was it? Drop that in the comments. I'm genuinely curious to see if the data matches your experience. And if this kind of no-nonsense breakdown is useful to you, I've got more coming. Next one's going to cover the specific models to avoid from otherwise reliable brands, because even Toyota has a couple you should think twice about. Hit subscribe so you catch that when it drops. Alright, go make a smart purchase. I'll see you in the next one.